Boom. We're back, baby. Fresh off of beating Dark Souls 2. Let's see. Get some music in the background. Looks like that it's barely getting picked up. There. A little overpowering in my headset, a little bit of balancing. There we go. We're listening to some Critical Role. Graciously provided to all streamers, as long as you give them credit, so there's the credit. Alright. And we are looking at the rest of the playtest material. And if you want to follow along, there's some of that. Cool. So, looks like we're going to be digging into feats here. This section offers a collection of feats which are special features not tied to a single class, and apparently are now a standard rule rather than being a variable rule, seeing as everyone put them in their games anyway. The description of a feat contains the following parts which are presented after the name. The level. Okay, that's a new thing. They didn't have level requirements. I put level requirements for a few of my feats. Because stuff like Crossbow Expert and Lucky and Sharpshooter and stuff like that was just a little too powerful to be like something you start out with. So I would do like level 4, you could take it, or something like that. So it looks like they're just implementing that into the feat system now. You must meet any prerequisite specified unless a feature allows you to take it without the prerequisite. If it's a class or class group, you must have at least one level in an eligible class to qualify. If it's repeatable more than once, if it isn't, you can only take it once. Bonus feats at level 20. I like this. This is a good idea. Epic Boon feats. Because there's epic boons in the original DMG, just no one gets to play them. Because no one gets to level 20. Descriptions of feats available to classes presented in the document. Members of those classes can also select feats from previous installments, character origins, which I've got over here if we need to reference. Alphabetical order, so ability score improvement is now in itself a feat, which just makes total sense. They're just consolidating stuff that was like, but this is a special case rule and this is a special case rule. Just turn this into a feat. You got them at the same time that you could take a feat. Makes sense. Actor. 4th level feat. Huh. And that makes sense because I think a bunch of characters get feats at level 1 now. according to the character origins. So you wouldn't want them to just be a 20 stat just to start off with. So 4th level for that. 4th level for this. Huh, I'm only seeing 4th levels so far. We'll have to keep an eye out for the 1st level ones, because there are definitely feats that you get at level 1. And I thought that was a little powerful to give every class a feat, but if the feats are all level locked, then that's another way to balance it, because then you can't just have any feat at level 1. Alright, Charisma 13, skilled at mimicry and dramatics. Increases charisma by 1, max of 20, it's the same. While you're disguised as a fictional or real person other than yourself, you have advantage on charisma checks to convince others that you are that person. So I think that's basically a more clearly defined mechanic for actor. I think it just gave you like advantage on charisma checks in the last one. It was like, what does that mean? It's like, yeah, you're impersonating them or you're mimicking them. To mimic a sound, you must listen to it for a minute. Anytime thereafter, you can make a DC 15 charisma performance check to perform the mimicry. On a success, you can do it convincingly for up to an hour. And then you just lose it, I guess. Or more so, you probably just have to make another charisma check if you want to keep it up. That's not bad. It adds mechanics to stuff that was pretty obtuse before. A lot of their stuff was like, the DM will decide, which, yes, that's true, but for new players or inexperienced players that just want to play the game that's so popular, it's like, how do I do this? It's in my hands? I don't know why. I don't know how. Athlete. Strength, Dex, or Constitution of 13. Okay. You have undergone extensive physical training to gain the following benefits. Increase your strength, Dex, or Con by 1 to a maximum of 20. You gain a climb speed equal to your speed. That's nice. Get some rock climbing athletes in here. Hop up when you're prone. You can right yourself with only 5 feet of movement. I think that was something that the original athlete could do. Jumping, you have advantage on any ability checks you make for the jump action. I need to find where the jump action is. I might skip ahead because that was referenced in one of the other classes. Is there bookmarks or anything? No. Okay. Well, go down to the glossary. Visible jump action. With the jump action, you attempt to leap more than 5 feet. A jump of 5 feet or less is treated as difficult terrain. So what, just double move? Interesting. I don't know if I understand what they're going for with that. When you take this action, your speed must be greater than 0, and you must make a DC 10 strength check, acrobatics, or athletics. So either, but it does have to be using your strength modifier. That's going to be something tricky for players to understand. Because that's like a rule that people ran with for everything, and it's technically in the player's handbook that you can use other ability scores for your proficiencies if it makes sense. So like if you smash a rock with your fist and scare someone, you can do a strength-based intimidation check. So you can do a strength-based acrobatics check. If you don't move at least 10 feet immediately before this, you have disadvantage. I guess in any direction, so you don't have to do it directly towards it. You just gotta move 10 feet. On a failed check, you leap 5 feet horizontally or vertically, so you just get a shorter jump. On a successful check, the check's total determines the distance in feet you can clear. Ugh. I hate when they break it down to feet. It's like, do cubes or something. Determines the distance in feet or half the total if you're jumping vertically. This doesn't extend your movement, but the distance you clear can't exceed your speed. Oh, it doesn't expend your movement. Huh. So you can jump DC 10. Say you have really good strength. You could feasibly jump like 20, 25 feet. And that doesn't use your movement. But it is an action. Interesting. So you could feasibly jump 20 feet and then move 30 feet and have 50-foot clearance by using your action. Which, I mean, your action you could just dash to get 60 feet. So that's interesting. I like that it's an action because it's more clearly defined, but I also don't know how often people are going to use this. I don't know. And then is high jump an action? Okay, so high jump isn't an action. How do you determine vertical? Oh, or half the total if you're jumping vertically rounded down. So if it's 20, you can have like a 10-foot jump. Okay, I can see where that would be handy. And kind of takes it out of the DM's discretion of being like, well, if your strength is 15, that's technically a lifting capacity of this, so you could jump this high. But it gives them just a basis to roll with. Not bad. Not bad. So, you have advantage on any check you make for the jump action. So that negates the disadvantage you'd get for not moving, so you can always just do a straight roll to do your jumps if you're an athlete. Okay. Prerequisite and proficiency with any martial weapon. You have trained to charge headlong into battle, gaining the following benefits. Increase your strength or dex by 1, max of 20. When you take the dash action, your speed increases by 10. This is a feat, so anytime you dash, it's increased by 10. And if you move at least 10 in a straight line before hitting with an attack, as part of your attack action, you can gain a 1d8 on your attack roll or push the target back 10 feet, provided it's no more than one size larger. You can only do it once. If you move at least 10 feet in a straight line before hitting an attack, so this works with a bow and arrow. I think they need to clarify the wording with that, because it should definitely be melee for a charger. and you're hitting them. Because right now, you can just move 10 feet in a straight line sideways, shoot them with your bow, and knock them back 10 feet. Plus 1d bonus the attack roll or push them back 10 feet. And then you just run to the left and you do it again the next turn, and you can just keep pushing them back 10 feet. That doesn't seem right. That definitely should say that it's a melee attack. And if it is just a melee attack, I like it. It actually gives some actual use for Charger, because that was not a feat that anyone took. So once per turn, you can do an extra d8, and your dashes are always faster. That's the thing that was missing from a lot of feats back in the first book, was like ancillary bonuses that didn't pertain to the one time that this feat came into play. It's like, I'm giving up an ability score buff in order to take this, and I can only use it once per like 10 sessions. Come on, help me out here. That's why Lucky was so broken and so taken by everyone, because it's any d20 roll. Crossbow Expert. Proficiency with any martial weapon. Thanks for expertise with crossbows, you gain the following. Dex score increases by 1. Ignore loading, so you don't have to spend a bonus action loading your crossbow. Being in melee doesn't give you disadvantage with crossbows. Ooh, sorry. Dual wielding when you make an extra attack with the light weapon property. When you make the extra attack of the light weapon property, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the extra attack if the attack is with a crossbow and it has the light property. Okay, so this technically could work for anyone as long as they have the crossbow secondary. So you could run in with like a rapier that has finesse, because it's dex based. So use that in your right hand, and then in your offhand have the crossbow, and the crossbow still does full damage. So you can kind of do 2 attacks with your attack action, and then if you get a bonus action attack with the light weapon property, you can shoot him with the crossbow. That's pretty fun. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool, pretty fun, and I think I just swapped the 2 first letters there. I like that. That might... I feel like that has the opportunity to be exploited, the way it's worded. That might have to be... I'm not sure the exploitation offhand, but I'm imagining there are ways to really break that, especially with some magic items. Defensive Duelist. I took this with a few of my characters. Deftly parry, increases dex. If you're holding a finesse weapon and someone hits you with a melee, you can use your reaction to add proficiency bonus to your armor class. Yeah. Oh, that's the same. All that's different is now it's a 4th level feat, which I think, yep, all of them are so far. So far. Dual Wielder. Proficiency, repeatable, no. You master fighting with 2 weapons, gaining the following benefits. Increase your strength or dex by 1. When you are holding a weapon with the light property in one hand, you can treat a non-light weapon in the other hand as if it had the light weapon property, provided it is not a 2-handed weapon. Quick draw. You can draw or stow 2 weapons that lack the 2-handed property when you normally are able to draw and stow only 1. That's decent. You can have like 2 battle axes. It only sacrifices one ability score point because you still get one for strength or dex. So that's kind of nice. Rather than taking 2 in strength, if you have like 15 strength, that'll still bump you up to 16, and then you can use 2 battle axes or 2 long swords or 2 spears or something and have no penalty. Durable. Hardy and resilient, gain the following. Increase con by 1, that makes sense. Defy death, advantage on death saves. That's something I like. They've introduced that a little bit in some of the subclasses in the UA recently. I think Laudna has this in Critical Role. But I like that Durable gets it. It makes sense. It fits the feat. As a bonus action, you can expend a hit die, roll the die, and regain a number of hit points equal to the roll. It's basically a crappier version of the Fighter's Second Wind, but you can do it as long as you have hit die, so it's actually a little bit more useful because you can just use it every turn. Durable, I think, is going to be a very popular pick. It's safe. Con is always good, increases your health. Flat advantage on death saves. And then an extra heal during combat. So, like, if you have a group that doesn't have a healer, you can just have a bunch of them with self-heals. That would be pretty fun. Elemental Adept. Spellcasting or pack magic. Repeatable, yes, but it has to be a different type each time. In your spellcasting, you can harness a particular form of energy with deadly mastery, granting you the following benefits. Int, wisdom, or charisma. Choose one of the following. Spells you cast ignore resistance. In addition, when you roll damage for a spell you cast that deals damage, you can treat any one as a 2. Nice. So they ignore resistance, but they do not ignore immunity. Which makes sense. If they're immune to the damage, you shouldn't be able to now make them hurt by it. It'd be like skeletons being immune to poison damage, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, you made me have lungs, and now I'm susceptible to poison. No, that's not how this works. So those are all 4th level feats. Here's some epic boons. 20th level. These are the end game capstones. Let's see what they got here. Expert or warrior. When you miss with a melee, you can hit instead. Once you use it, you can't use it again until you roll initiative. Ah, so this is where they're pulling on epic. This is where they're pulling on 4th edition D&D, because 4th edition had you had like little cards with abilities, and you had at will, round, and encounter, or daily. Yeah, at will, encounter, and daily abilities. There's no DC because the death counter stopped at 99. I beat the game at 99 deaths. See? There you go. I beat it in under 100, which I was trying to do with the first game, but did it in the second. Did not think I would, because I went into the last combat with 99. So, well, I'm surely gonna die. But yeah, so you have Feats, which I mean, it's level 20 though. The amount of play that these are going to get is going to be very minimal. Unless they're doing something to make the grind to level 20 a little less, so that people are more incentivized to play at high levels. One-shots for sure, but like you can only do so many one-shots at level 20 before you're like, I'd actually like to play a campaign. But yeah, these feats have all one-shots all the time. You can't use it again until you roll initiative, so that's an encounter ability. If you miss, you hit. Dimensional travel, you can cast Misty Step without expending a spell slot. When you use it, you can't use it again until you roll initiative or finish a short rest or long rest. That's good, because Misty Step can be used outside of combat pretty consistently. So it's good that they had that stipulation. A plate full of pasta. We had some pasta too. Had some nice pasta, and then we put like a little bit of leftover chili in it, so there was some like beans in there. That was pretty good. Hey, that's our usual go-to. We just get some, what is it, contadina pasta sauce with herbs, and then get some beef, and then cook like half a pound to a pound of it. Put it right in there. Boom. Delicious. The epic boon of energy resistance. You gain resistance to one of the following damage types. Whenever you finish a short rest or a long rest, you can meditate and change the damage. That's really cool. It feels very underwhelming for a level 20. Because, like, by the time you're 20th level, I don't know. It's just there's not many people that play consistently at level 20. There's one-shots. But I don't know. Just all this level 20 stuff seems excessive for a game, part of the game that's not played very often. Next stream game. I think I'm gonna jump on Dark Souls 3 next. Just go straight into that. I was thinking about jumping off to Bloodborne. But I think I'm just gonna do the trilogy and then branch off into Bloodborne, Sekiro, and then eventually Elden Ring. I do know Super People is coming out soon, and we still have to play Phasmophobia with Mickey at some point. So, and no worries, I'm streaming, chat with you, chat with anyone, whatever. Yeah, I saw their announcement earlier, I think today. Um, they had like a dev announcement showing off some stuff. The Demolisher looks like it's gonna be a bit too overpowered. Oh yeah, and then like how you can unlock Halloween skins or something like that for the Halloween event that they're doing, which we totally called with having that one mansion be all spooky looking. We are geniuses, this is true. Epic Boon of Fortitude. Your maximum HP increases by 40? That's a lot. That's a level 20 thing. In addition, whenever you regain HP, you regain additional HP equal to your con mod. You can regain these additional points no more than once per round. Wow. Wait. So if you're level 20, you probably have, we'll say, 18 Constitution. A lot of people don't go to 20. So you have a +4, so you're getting 4 health extra every time someone heals you in a round. And you have 40 more HP. Barbarians with this would be ridiculous. If super people in COD don't work out, I'm voting we play Siege. Siege was fun. I don't tell Phil I said this, but I was looking at maybe playing New World again. With all the updates they did. But oh geez, a Reddit post. Is that like state of the game kind of thing? Oh no. Because all I've seen is like their updates and then Phil posting about it. Oh jeez. I'll have to check that out. I have seen a few things come out about Ashes of Creation, and that looks pretty promising. So, fingers crossed that that's good, but that's probably not going to be anywhere playable until mid next year. That's a lot of collective hours. That's like how much time Phil has put into the game so far. Epic Boon of Irresistible Offense. The damage you deal ignores resistance. That's ridiculous. Expert or Warrior. So if you have spellcasting, your spells ignore resistance. And Expert and Warrior, all you need is 1 level into Fighter. 19th level of Wizard. All of your magic now ignores resistance. Demons ignoring or resisting your fire damage? Not anymore. 20th level feat. I'm fine with it. Oh, you're posting right here. Devs don't play New World is what it's called. Yeah, when the devs don't even play their own game. It's not whiny or anything, it's just factual. Yeah. I'll check it out for sure after this. Send it to me in Discord too so I have it for later. Because that's the thing with stuff like Final Fantasy. The creator of Final Fantasy plays the game all the time. He's a Black Mage main. And like cosplays and stuff like that, so you can tell he enjoys it. I don't know anyone of the New World, like they don't have a public face, so you don't even know who's playing, and then it doesn't sound like they enjoy it. Well, look to Derek to squash my game hopes with facts. Epic Boon of Luck. Expert, that makes sense. Roll a d20 for a d20 test. You can roll a d10 and add the number rolled to the test. Once you use this, you can't do it unless you roll initiative or finish a short or long rest. So just a d10 on any roll. That's pretty good. Well, that's the thing. A lot of it was fun because that's why we played it for so long. So a lot of stuff shouldn't change, but yeah, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I'm hoping either Super People or COD is good. That's my hope. Because honestly, if we're not doing either of those, I may just jump back into Final Fantasy like I was thinking of. Yeah, I'm not about that dungeon grind. But I am about this epic boon of the Night Spirit. When in dim light or darkness, you can become invisible and remain invisible until immediately after you take an action. Oh, so that's, you can just stay invisible. You could literally, as long as you don't take an action, you could just you could just be invisible for days. Hmm. Do the same 4 dungeons, PvP dynamics, what we were saying, and then killed it. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's when you have PvP and PvE, if you start to heavily favor one over the other, it's gonna kill it. More often than not, when you heavily focus on PvP, it kills the game. Because you need to have that casual stuff for people to like enjoy playing. I'm going to talk about it again, but Final Fantasy has a very good casual setting to play in, and then their PvP they just revamped and people like it. Um, but most of the time you can just go hang out in the towns, do crafting, stuff like that. And New World is just kind of lacking. It doesn't sound like they improved on that. Oh, epic boon of peerless aim. Expert. If you make a ranged attack against a target in range and you miss, you can cause it to hit instead. Once you do this, you can't use it again until you roll initiative. So the same. It's the same thing as combat prowess. Don't know why that needs to be separate. I guess so your berserker barbarian doesn't just automatically switch to a ranged weapon because he can do both. But I guess. And then Epic Boon of Recovery. You can use a bonus action to regain HP equal to half your hit point maximum. You can do this once per long rest. In addition, you succeed on every death saving throw that isn't a 1. What? To be fair, at level 20, stuff is going to finish you off when you go down. So sure, oh, you succeeded, and you're dead. Sitting at 1 success. But that's a 20th level feat. I like that. Oh my god, D&D! Hello, map. No spoilers. This is the playtest material that Wizards released for OneD&D, their next D&D edition. But they're not an edition. They want to get away from there being editions. Because this isn't 6th edition, this is OneD&D. And yeah, Derek, the expansion stuff is crazy, but there are some games that works for, like League of Legends has what, like 200 legends at this point, and they're still one of the highest grossing companies. And now they're branching out, making animation, making stuff like that. So needs to move to an app-based thing that just does updates live from a database. It's funny you should mention that because they are very much doing something similar to that, and that's kind of the basis of One D&D. Basically, they bought D&D Beyond earlier this year, so now they have. I actually have it up. They have a digital playset that they can play around with, and they're looking at. I mean, they announced that they're releasing a virtual tabletop probably next year, so you can play on the official D&D virtual tabletop, which is gonna overtake Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds and Foundry if it's any good. So it is a lot of stuff that they're focusing on. I don't know if those companies will be lost to it or if they'll have to adapt. From what they showed with the virtual tabletop, it's like you play with your minis in a virtual tabletop, but I know they're going to have so many microtransactions. Well, Roll20's been improving. I have a love-hate relationship with Roll20. But I've been developing not developing. I've been putting together a game to play in the meantime until we get back into our campaign on Roll20. So I've been getting into some of the nitty-gritty functions, and it's all right. Especially some of the modules you can buy for other games. But there are a lot of VTTs coming on the market right now. I got an ad for one that was like a pixel-based 2D thing. Let me see if I can pull it up without being too obnoxious. Well, that's one, so I'll pull that up. We're going off topic, and I love it. Tools. What was it? No, that's not it. Saved it, and then I didn't remember where I put it. There it is. So this is for Blades in the Dark. Oh yeah, multiverse. Yep. So what are we looking at here? The streets are yours for the taking. And essentially, can I play this on here? Sure, we'll find out. We'll just mute it for now. Essentially, you create your character and you can put it into this pre-made map, and then it allows you to keep your stats on your character sheet, and you can move around in this like 2.5D kind of scenario. So those are all like player characters that are all moving around, and then the DM can screw with the background. You know, you get light, so you get like explorable terrain. Oh no! And Blades in the Dark has a fairly bare bones rule set, so that was easy for them to do. I don't think it would be so easy for them to do this with like D&D, but for some of the other game systems, this is pretty great. Oh, they have a 5e expansion? Like a little character creator. All this cool digital art stuff, little pixel art. And bring in people's webcams. Yeah. Cool stuff. Monetized to hell. Yeah, but that's the thing. These kind of things have to be monetized in a way that, because no one's gonna buy in hugely into it. Like that was what Foundry got in at the perfect time. I bought Foundry when it was first starting. It was like I think 50 or 60 bucks, but you can just use the app and call you call you
Yo, yo, yo.
hello, you're on stream.
I know I'm watching myself. All right, I'm just gonna share this real quick because I have the app that you can download. So they have different tile sets, and you'll have to watch the main trailer because the main trailer shows off some of the cool stuff in it. But they've got 5e monster spirits in here. I have no idea what it costs, but we can check.
You'll have to send me a link.
I don't even know. I guess I downloaded it, so I guess it's not monetized. What? I thought this stuff was, but somehow I downloaded it. Because they've got like bundles and stuff, and like this is, you have to order this.
I'm not seeing anything that you're showing me.
Wait, which screen am I sharing? What?
You're showing me your Discord, which is
Oh,
just
what
an
the
infinite
heck?
loop.
Nice. I wish you would have said something sooner.
I didn't realize.
I was trying to show you it. So this is the app. And like,
I see your logo.
what?
They
Is this
probably
working?
have protection so that you can't.
Okay, let me try if it lets me share the screen entirely if it works.
Nope.
Okay, so they have protection. Probably so that you can't play on it from one screen, one copy.
Yeah, so that's probably part of the monetization.
It's weird because I just downloaded somehow. I downloaded the Spirits pack for 5e monsters. Let me see if I can find the One More Multiverse trailer. Because they've got like an actual trailer that shows.
I was gonna
like,
say they don't have anything on here with.
Yeah, here we go. This is the actual one. Just put it in your stream. This is like the first one from last year. And this is the one I actually saw on TikTok. I thought, oh, this is cool.
One more roll. One more level. Okay, cool. Character level creation.
Yeah.
Healing spirit. Make a whole town, one more character. Yeah, this is from 1.5 years ago. I'm surprised I haven't heard anything about this.
I got it somehow on TikTok. I don't know why they sent it to me specifically, but they did. But the main reason I follow it is I'm hoping that's the one thing Lancer is missing is like just a integrated 2D pixelated like something like this, and then Lancer would just be the ultimate.
I don't know if this is 5E.
They've got it's not doesn't specifically say it. I'm guessing for legal
Oh,
reasons.
for sure, if they're not collaborating officially.
Right. But they in their marketplace, which is official from them, is a bunch of 5e stuff. Let's see. Greek mythology. Nope. FE 5e SRD deprecated bundle of the SRD resources to play 5e.
Well, if it's depreciated or deprecated, then it doesn't work anymore.
Last updated August 19th, 2022.
Huh.
Definitely not. Oh, I see Dimension Door cards, Bane cards, Anti-Magic Field, Seeming card. There's a lot of stuff in here.
Let's see. One more multiverse.
I think you have to like go through like a bunch of stuff in their Discord to get the launcher. NPC template for 5e.
You have to sign up with a tutorial, and they had a probably Kickstarter.
I haven't seen a Kickstarter.
They have a closed beta.
Right. Which all you gotta do is once you download the app, you gotta complete the tutorial and you can use the closed beta.
Huh.
Spell card template for 5e. That's the thing is like I don't know how they're making money off of this. I guess Blades in the Dark will be their first thing to make money off.
Probably because they officially collaborated with Blades in the Dark.
Right.
And it looks like Humblewood as well. Unless
got, like,
Humblewood is the 5e one.
Maybe. I don't know. They've got like upcoming like official events created by people. Mask Session 5. Whatever Masks is.
Masks is another RPG system.
Oh, okay. Well, they're on Session 5, and it's owned by Puck, #2470, which I think is their Discord. And you can spectate it tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Yeah, I see that. We need a better title.
Yep. So, I don't know. It's one of those...
well, I mean, it's another thing to my point. There's a whole bunch of them making stuff in this space.
Right, but it's because only now is D&D finally doing something.
Yeah, as all these other creators are starting to get into the marketplace. Because another one I got notified of because they did a collaboration with Hero Forge, the miniature creator, is this one here. Menyer.
Is it closed already?
Yeah, they just closed like 3 days ago.
Yeah, it looks like they. Yeah, you're right.
Because I was gonna back it, and then I checked it like the day after it closed.
So but, like the editor's like 3D and stuff.
Yeah.
That's.
But they said it's a working prototype already.
The problem I have with this is like 2-dimension isn't too bad for like a DM to spend some time, but as soon as you add 3 dimensions, I mean, you're literally multiplying the time you're putting in by 3.
Well, that's the thing. They have a lot of pre-generated stuff or like randomized. You can just press a button and it will make an entire like city for you.
See,
Like-
that'd be nice. So how much did you need to get the closed beta? You needed the.
I think it was like $100
€60
if you want to do the DM tier,
the DM tier.
the storyteller tier, so that you could actually like edit worlds and stuff like that.
Noble.
Hello, Mallow. Hope your
Yeah,
class is going
It was
good.
60 euros for the storyteller.
Ah. So what's that, like $58 or something?
I think it's actually isn't the
dollar's a
you're
little
right.
stronger right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Oh no, I thought it was the other way around. I thought the euro was stronger.
I don't think so. Not with the
Maybe.
current stuff going on.
I thought there was. Yeah, the euro is stronger.
Huh.
By a whole 2 cents, but it is.
Oh, that must be recent then.
It has been. I was gonna say it's been like a month. It's been like that now since like the beginning of September for some reason.
Huh.
I was gonna say I remember seeing news about it because everyone was flipping out.
Let me see.
I mean, I like it. I like seeing stuff projects like this.
Yeah, for sure, because this is your
Something
lobby.
with-
That's basically
with
your
the-
campaign lobby.
With the amount of money D&D has been making, they should have had something like this years ago. But you know, it's
Well, they were
not
dealing
there.
with all of their problems.
They're doing it. They're calling it Activision.
Yeah. But essentially, you have like this lobby here, which is like your campaign lobby. All the
Yeah, I like
players
that.
can load in and look at the world map.
So it's kind of like a hybrid between like a map creator and virtual tabletop simulator.
Yeah, they want it to be an all-in-one.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So it's like you can create lamps, you can put them here. I don't know if they will have like, they probably won't have any kind of rules. Like you'll be able to roll dice and set macros and everything, but they probably won't have like
Yeah, and I see how they're
character
monetizing
stats
this.
and stuff like that.
Right. I see how they're monetizing this though. It's skins. That's
Mhm.
where the monetization is.
But they're going to be free to play from day one.
Right. But if you want a cool looking character or something. that's
And
where the
also
money will
it'll be probably the same thing as Foundry, where you'll have to either figure out how to host a server, which you and Cody can, but most people can't, or you'll have to find some service that will host a server for you, which is usually expensive.
But that's not too bad. I mean, with how far computers have come, like, and my PC. I mean, I was running.
Yeah, I
You're
think
playing-
Foundry, one of the most popular ones, the Forge, has like $5 a month to host a server. It's not too bad.
Oh yeah, they're usually not bad. You could probably just rent an Amazon server for like a penny a day. I think I'm joking, but that's literally like what some of them cost. I think you get free ones actually. I think Amazon has free servers too.
Is that persistent and like saving your stuff though?
Oh yeah. It's just like let me see Amazon Web Services.
I really like this aspect here because you can do like photo mode and you can do teasers for like your next session. It's like you guys kick down the door and you see a skeleton clad in armor, and then like move in, take screenshots of their point of view and put it in like the next time and like looking forward to the next session kind of thing.
Damn. That's crazy. I don't even know where.
And like real-time weather changes and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be really sick for like setting the mood too.
And you can just screw with stuff while your players are running around. So like they're exploring the town and then you're like thunderstorm.
So the Game Tech free tier for Amazon Web Services for 12 months, you're allowed 125 hours per month.
That's a pretty good amount.
50 gigabyte SSD storage on their basically their server farm, which You don't have to worry about anything else, just how much storage you use.
Hmm.
Is that another one you're pulling up?
No, this is just their details.
Oh. Gotcha.
Procedural landscapes.
Nog Studios. NOG.
Yep. You can terraform to manipulate the stuff that they create. Biome adaptation.
So by the looks of it too, is you'll have to pay per seat. So if you want to host an 8-player game, the owner will have to pay for 8 seats. For guest seats, I guess is what they're called. So that you have a game master, and then you have guest seats, and you have to pay per guest seat.
Or have the guests pay.
Or, yeah, one of the two. But it currently says you can invite as many players as you have guest seats. So you'd have to buy more seats.
Interesting.
I mean, I like the looks of it.
Yeah, and it's like they have a working prototype before they went to Kickstarter. They just needed to make it so that they can actually host it. And they did good with the Kickstarter, so they said early, I think quarter 2 of 2023 there should be a playable demo.
Nice. Let's see.
And then quarter 3 they should have a full release.
$500,000 funding by then. That's nice.
Yep.
City procedural generator unlocked. Oh, apparently Hero Forge approached them.
Yeah, so you can literally import your tokens from Hero Forge into the engine.
Damn.
So if you wanted to have an actual mini and then play that mini virtually.
Not too bad.
Yep. So some cool stuff. Some cool stuff. Since we're off track, see if map is still here. I'll give a little teaser. That's all you get.
Ooh, Dark Souls.
That's all you get. That's all you get.
Is the tabletop game as brutal as the physical game?
Well, this is the unofficial fan-created RPG that was released like 4 years ago.
Definitely unbalanced and going to kick somebody.
No, it's very balanced and very well done. I've been playing it for the past year with Tristan.
Nice. That's what I like to hear.
And it's good.
I was playing, speaking of Fae, I was playing with Dylan last night. We were playing Marauders, that Tarkov in space looking game. It's janky. It's not bad for $30, but I think GTFO is probably the better choice though for $30.
That's the scary group shooter, right?
Yeah. Where you're just like prisoners set into the depths of caves to fight monsters. Deep Rock Galactic, but on a scarier scale.
I like it.
Alright, well, that's all I got. I'm going to let you get back to your stream.
I appreciate it. It's a fun distraction.
Yes. I will catch you later, good sir.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
A little shout out to Derrickspartan for hopping on stream and hanging out, talking about cool stuff. Check him out whenever he decides to play games. Let's see. Epic Boon of Recovery, lots of HP, regain abilities. Yeah, half your hit point maximum. So, like, again, with a Barbarian that's like 200 HP at level 20, you just get 100 HP as a bonus action. That is an epic boon. By the definition of the word epic. Epic boon of skill proficiency. You gain proficiency in all skills. Basically, you're a rogue, because they get tons of skills. What happened to my music? I betcha YouTube went, are you still listening? Yes. Yes, I am. Thank you. Epic boon of speed, and speed increases by 30. Doubles your speed. So that means your dash, now you can go 120 with a dash. Bonus action dash to go another 60, so 180. And then if you have that thief rogue ability where you can do 2 bonus actions, you can go another 60 to go, what, 240? There's going to be some crazy level 20 builds. That would actually be fun for a one-shot, just trying to make the craziest epic boon builds. Epic boon of undetectability. Expert. You can't be seen or heard by any means while you are hidden. That's interesting. That's interestingly powerful. Because that means no scries. I guess technically detect creature or locate creature would still work because they don't see you, they just know that you're there. And technically scry would work. They would just get a sensor would appear around you and then they would be like, where is he though? I can't see him. My sensor picked him up, but where is he? Da, da, da. Epic boon of the unfettered. As a bonus action, you can take the disengage action, which also ends grappled and restrained conditions on you. Makes you slippery. That feels like it should be lower than 20th level, but not bad. Ah, a first level feat. Finally. Archery. Warrior group. +2 to attack rolls with ranged weapons. So it's the archery fighting style from the class features. Interesting. So they're breaking it out so that all warrior groups can take fighting styles. So barbarians could take this. Interesting. I mean, that definitely opens up to a lot of versatility. I like that. Checking on balance is going to be a nightmare, though, when you open it up to this. I'm down. I'm down for it. +1 to AC. When you're wielding a melee weapon in one hand, you gain +2. That's dueling, right? Yep. Great weapon fighting. When you roll a 1 or 2 on damage, you can re-roll. Must use the new roll. The weapon must have two-handed or versatile. Great weapon fighting. You know, that was the same. That's the same. First level. Immediately after. Actually, being that these are all first level and a bunch of characters as part of the Origins get feats at level 1, like you gain the skilled feat or another feat of your choice. So humans can just get a feat. So you could just start with great weapon fighting, which is great for having like a defined image of your character when you first create them rather than having to grow into it or just start your games at level 3. So I actually like that a lot, being able to have a feat at level 1 to really set your character's distinction. Protection after see me. An attack roll and hits a target other than you within 5 feet of you. You're using the word you too many times in this descriptor. You can use your reaction to interpose your shield. Oh my god. The wording. Immediately after a creature you can see makes an attack roll and hits a target other than you within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to interpose your shield, and impose a -2 penalty to the attack roll, potentially turning it into a miss. You must be wielding a shield to use this reaction. So basically you're adding your +2 AC to your ally. That makes sense. There's not a lot of minus stuff in 5th edition, so this is going to be a big change. Actually having modifiers, going back to like 3.5, 3rd edition, 2nd edition, where it was just modifiers everywhere. Math, pluses, minuses, all of it. But as long as it's just like very occasional, I don't think it's a problem. I like this. Because the old version of this just gave them disadvantage, which if they already had disadvantage, this just did nothing for you. Or if they had advantage, it's just a straight roll. So the downside of the advantage disadvantage system being very simplified is that your cool stuff sometimes just gets overridden by rules. So this is cool. 2-weapon fighting. When you make an extra attack of the light weapon property, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the extra attack. Alright. Light weapon property. I feel like that's somewhere defined. Yeah, it's underlined, so it's somewhere. Where are we at? Page 19. I'm going to look for... HIJKL. Long rest. Light. When you take the attack action on your turn and attack with a light weapon in one hand, you can make one extra attack as part of the same action. When you take the attack action on your turn and attack with a light weapon in one hand, you can make one extra attack as part of the same action. That extra attack must be made with a different light weapon in the other hand, and you don't add your ability modifier to the damage. You can make this extra attack only once on each turn. For example, if you take the attack action and have a short sword and a dagger in another, each of which has the light property. You can make one attack with each weapon, but don't add your strength or dex to the roll of the second weapon. So that's the same as dual wielding before, but a little bit more clearly defined for, I think, some abilities that they're trying to implement to make dual wielding actually be fun, because it was not very fun or a good use of actions. Yeah, because this is actually all the same action. With dual wielding before, you had to use a bonus action to attack with your offhand weapon. So this makes it so that dual wielding is actually decent. Okay. I think I'd have to see it in practice a little more to really get a good grip on it, but I think I like that change. Grappler, strength or dex. You're accomplished wrestler. Increases strength or dex, advantage on attack rolls against a creature grappled by you. Just grab them by the head, pop, pop, pop. They have advantage. Fast wrestler, you aren't slowed when you move a grappled creature, provided the creature is your size or smaller. So rather than half movement, which is now slowed because they've created this slowed condition, you can just move your full speed while you're holding someone in your grasp. That's kind of fun. Punch and grab. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike as part of an attack action, you can deal damage to the target and grapple it. You can use this benefit only once per turn. That was a change that I think I saw about the grapple, is that grapple is no longer a contested check. They're kind of getting rid of contested checks, which is a little stupid. Some of the most fun is when it's like, you roll, see who has the best. You know, do some rollies and see who wins. But now it's just, if you hit them, if you beat their AC, you grapple them automatically. Which a lot of creatures already had in 5th edition, but now players get that too. Great Weapon Master. Proficiency with any martial weapon. You've learned to use the weight of a weapon to your advantage, letting its momentum empower your strikes. See, I like the flavor text on that a little bit more than the original. Immediately after you score a crit with a melee weapon or reduce a creature to 0, you can make one attack with the same weapon as a bonus action. Nice. That makes crits a little bit better, because when you crit, you automatically get another attack. That's nice. When you hit a creature with a heavy weapon as part of an attack action, you can cause the weapon to deal extra damage. The extra damage equals your proficiency bonus, and you can deal it once per turn. So, +2 damage right off the bat. 4th level, I mean at 5th level your proficiency goes up to 3, so in one more level you're doing +3 once per turn. That's not bad. That's not bad. Good feat. Heavily armored. Already have medium armor. Trained to use heavy armor. Increase your con. And you gain heavy armor. That's good. Again, having them so that all of them give you an ability score buff is very nice. I hate PDFs highlighting. But having it so you're not losing out on that ability score, because that was always the thing. If you took a few feats to be cool, to make your character feel more cool and more like defined to what you wanted to be, you were suboptimal to everyone who just went ability scores, because they could just do everything better because their ability scores were higher. Whereas you're like, well, but like as an athlete, I can jump up from the ground and I can also jump higher. And they're like, yeah, but you're not hitting anything. Darn it. So I like that they've made this like a lot of them give you just +1 to your bonus, to your attribute score. Heavy Armor Master. So if you already have Heavy Armor, you can use your Heavy Armor to deflect strikes. Now let's see what they did with this, because this used to be just a flat -3 to your incoming damage when you had Heavy Armor. Ability score buffs, that's good. When you're hit by an attack while wearing this, any bludgeon, piercing, or slashing dealt to you by that attack is reduced by an amount equal to your proficiency bonus. Okay. So that's nice. And this is a 4th level. So this builds with you. I like that a lot. I like some of the stuff that they're tying to proficiency bonus. Because it starts at +2. So you're taking any like physical, non-magical damage. Actually, it doesn't matter if it's magical or not. It just says any bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing is reduced by your proficiency bonus. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I think at level 17 you hit +6. So it builds with you. That's good. Inspiring Leader. I had this with my Warlock Fighter Paladin in one of my games, who became like the head of a town. You're adept at encouraging others, granting you these benefits. Increases your charisma score. I like that. At the end of a short or long rest, you can give an inspiring performance, speech, song, or dance. When you do so, choose up to 6 friendly creatures within 30 feet of you who witness this, and the chosen creatures each gain temp HP equal to 2d4 plus your proficiency bonus. It used to be your level plus your charisma modifier, I think. So that's nerfed a little bit. Nerfed at high level. It got squashed. So it's much better at lower levels, but it's much worse at higher levels. Because like at level 14, I was giving people like 22 temporary HP for my entire party, which is like, I think there was 5 or 6 of us at a time. So if you give it to all 6, that's math. That's like 90 to 100 HP that I'm just buffing the entire party just by talking good for 10 minutes. And they got rid of the time thing, because that was also dumb. It's like if you spend 10 minutes telling people something, you're like, I'm not actually going to spend 10 minutes doing this. I'm just going to say I did it. So. But 2d4 plus proficiency, so at level 4 when you get it, you can do a minimum of 4 temp HP to everyone and a maximum of 10. That's not bad for 4th level. And then when you're, let's say 17th level, when you have a +6, you can do 14 to everybody, maximum. No. Yes? Yes. Yeah, so they squashed the range for that a little bit, but everyone plays low levels. Like a vast majority of players are like below level 8, so that makes sense. A little bit of a nerf, but I like it. Keen Mind. Oh, I highlighted it. Well, that's there now. In 13, you've trained to rapidly recall or discover things. Choose one of the following skills: Arcana, History, Investigation, Nature, or Religion. If you lack proficiency, you gain it, and if you have it, you gain expertise. Quick Study, you can take this Quick Study action as a bonus action. Oh, that's right. You make study action is you make a intelligence check to recall details of something. So, this is a huge nerf for Keen Mind. it's much more mechanical. It's much more mechanically friendly. But Keen Mind previously, you just remembered everything that happened in the last 30 days, and you always knew which way true north was. I think. No, that was a Survivor thing. You always knew what time of day it was. That's what it was. Because I remember campaign 2 of Critical Role, Caleb had it, and he would always be like, they'd be like, how much time do we have? And he'd be like, well, I'll tell you, it's currently DM, what time is it? And Matt hated it. It'd be like, oh, what was that guy's name we were talking to? It's like, well, that was 2 weeks ago. Matt, what was his name? Because Caleb remembers, I don't remember. But so this is a little bit easier on the DM to have to manage that, and it just gives them advantage on intelligence checks for a certain skill. Or not advantage, but proficiency or expertise, which is nice. More classes with expertise is nice. So you're going to have a wizard taking Keen Mind would have Arcana of like a plus 10 at level 4 if they have the right build out. Which makes sense. They should. They're a studied class. Lightly armored. You gain armor training of all those. That's just decent. So that would be a good one for like a sorcerer or a wizard who doesn't get any kind of armor training. To at level 1 be able to wear armor. I like it. Mage Slayer. Martial weapons, 4th level. Practice techniques useful in battling magic users. Increase strength or dex. When you damage a creature that's concentrating, it has disadvantage. I like that part. If you fail on an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saving throw, you can cause yourself to succeed instead. Once you use it, you can't do it until you finish a long rest. So essentially a legendary resistance for mental saves. That makes total sense for Mage Slayer. Yeah, no, I like that. I like that more than the current one. Because the current one has the concentration breaker, and then it also has... Oh, and I like how they've broken out each of these into their own thing. Whereas it used to just be a block of text as to what they could do. Now each one is its own, like, little bullet. The other thing with Mage Slayer was, like, you could use your reaction to do an attack if there was someone casting a spell within 5 feet of you. Which is great, but most mages aren't going to cast a spell within 5 feet of you. They're going to be far away casting or running away or poofing away. And it's like, yeah, they cast teleport. Sure, you technically get a reaction, but they're already gone. So it's like, most sane mages, yeah, they're not going to be up in the fight with you. So being able to just flat out reject their saving throws, that is great. That's actually really great for barbarians too, because barbarians are always, and I'm guilty of this because it's just, why wouldn't you? When your DM has a mage villain, just being like, dominate person on your big stupid barbarian. And now your big stupid barbarian is my big stupid barbarian, and he's gonna kill you. But with this, they can at least be like, I failed it. No, I reject it. That's my 1 per day, but I reject being dominated by their will. So that's good. I like that. I like that change a lot. I like to cast Fireball at my feet. If you like to cast Fireball at your feet, you would enjoy Evocation Wizards. Because I think at 6th level, Evocation Wizards can pick pockets within their AoE fire spells to protect themselves and their allies from their damage. So you could just cast it at your feet and then not take damage from it. Or maybe half damage, I don't remember exactly, but it creates like a pocket protection. Which is going to be interesting because I think, no, they still have schools in this. They just changed what domains the spells are from. I'm really excited for the other classes to come out to really dig into them, because right now there's just the 3 expert classes. Medium Armor Master. Practice moving in medium armor and gain the following. When you're wearing medium armor, you add 3 rather than 2 to your AC if you have a dex score of 16 or higher. That's pretty good. I think I have this on Yadu. And I think it's just if you're wearing medium armor, you get +1 to your AC. So there must have been some way people were breaking that they didn't like it. That they wanted to really focus on this being that you have a dex score of 16. Rather than just that you have medium armor training. Maybe? It's functionally the same. Just requires you to have dexterity to gain benefits of it. Which is kind of dumb, because that means you could definitely take this, and it's not a prerequisite to have 16 dex. So if you have less than 16 dex, you can take this and gain literally no benefit. That's kind of dumb. You should just make the prerequisite 16 DC, or 16 dexterity. Because that's the only reason you can benefit from it. Mounted Combatant. You developed a bond with your mount, granting you the following benefits. Oh, this is a pretty decent amount. Strength, Dex, or Wisdom. That makes sense with like animal handling and survival. You have advantage on wisdom checks to handle or train horses or other beasts employed as mounts. Like a mastiff if you're a halfling or a gnome. That's just good programming. No. Mounted Strike. While you're mounted, you have advantage on attack rolls against creatures within 5 feet of your mount, and at least one size smaller than it. That's where Mastiff kind of gets screwed. Because they're not technically a large creature, I don't think. This would also get around some of the things I've seen of people using other characters as mounts when their character's like a halfling and they're considered small and the other characters are considered medium. They're like, well, they're size larger. I can just jump on their shoulders and they're technically a mount, and then I can take them out and Combatant, and then I get all the benefits. So this benefit specifically would not count. Leap aside if your mount is subjected to an effect that makes it dex save to only take half and instead takes none, and if it succeeds it will only take half if it fails. For your mount to gain this, you must be riding it, and neither of you can be incapacitated. Huh. So evasion for your mount. Veer. While mounted, you can use your reaction to force an attack that hits your mount to hit you instead. Oh, okay. So when some asshole comes up and tries to kill your horse, you can take the hit instead. Good. Kantar would have that. Kantar would definitely take that feat. Protect the Onyx at all cost. Observant feat. Let's see if they nerfed this all to hell. I bet you they did. Oh, they did. Oh. Oh. Oh, that's so sad. 4th level feat. Int or Wisdom. 13 plus. Quick to notice details. You gain the following benefits. Increases your intelligence or wisdom by 1. Choose one of the following skills. If you lack proficiency, you gain it. If you have it, you gain expertise. And you can take the search action as a bonus action. Mechanically sound, makes sense, it works for what it is. But, like, no lip reading? They couldn't even make a mention of being able to read lips. That was, like, the main thing people did with Observant, was that they could read lips from afar. I guess you just have to build that into your character now. I guess it makes it... I hate it. It makes it more rules savvy, because with the other version, when it says you can read lips if you can see them, it's like, well, weather conditions apparently don't matter. The sun could be in your eyes. If you see them talking, you know what they're saying. And that just like spits in the face of the DM who's trying to create like a dramatic situation. Whereas you could roll for it, and with advantage and expertise or something, then you could possibly read their lips anyway. And then nothing for your passive perception, which the old one gave you a +5 to your passive perception. Which is why in the Critical Role Campaign 3 right now, I think Aurum has plus, or his passive perception is like 20. So he always knows what's happening around him. He might as well have the alert feat and is unable to be surprised by anything. Like generally when Matt throws something, Liam is just like, well, how did I not see it? Because I have a ridiculous perception. It's like, well, I want him to surprise you guys. I'm sorry. Polearm Master. This was pretty good before. You're trained with polearms that have reach, granting you the following. Increase your strength. Immediately after you take the attack action, and attack with a weapon that has heavy and reach. You can use a bonus action to make a melee attack with the opposite end. The weapon's damage is D4 and deals bludgeoning. That's the same. Reactive strike while holding a weapon that has the heavy and reach. You can use your reaction to make one melee attack against a creature that enters the reach you have with this weapon. So, same thing, worded a little different. So if they teleport to 5 feet in front of you, they don't technically enter your reach, because your reach is from 5 to 10 feet. So gives a little bit of a gap between. But basically the same feat. Resilient. Choosing abilities. One ability which you lack saving throw proficiency. Increase that ability score by 1. You gain saving throw. Yeah. Same, I think. The old one might not have given you the score +1. Maybe it did. I don't think it did, though. Ritual Caster. You've studied Ritual Magic. Increase your mental score by 1. Choose one first level spell that has the ritual tag from one of these spell lists. Choose 2 first level spells. You always have them prepared, and you can cast them with any spell slots you have. The spell's spellcasting ability is the ability increased by this feat. Interesting. Ugh, that's some layered wording. I'm gonna unpack that in a second. Quick ritual. With this benefit, you can cast a ritual spell that you have prepared using its regular casting time rather than the expended time for the ritual. Doing so doesn't require a spell slot. Once you cast it this way, you can't do so until you finish a long rest. So you basically get a free cast of one of your ritual spells. Any of your ritual spells, not just the spells that you learned from this feat. That's good, because that way people that already have ritual spells can still benefit from this. So choose 2 first level ones. They have the ritual tag from the Arcane, Divine, and Primal spell list. You always have those 2 prepared and can cast them with any spell slots you have. Okay. That should always be the case. If you have spell slots, you can cast spells. So I'm not sure why that's defined unless they're going to change something with spell slots. And then the spellcasting ability is the ability increased by this feat. Okay. So if you choose to increase your charisma, you have to use your charisma modifier to cast. Most rituals don't have any kind of modifier like that, but I guess if it's like to be countered or dispelled, you would have to know that. Okay. So it's nothing too crazy that I can think of. Sentinel. See if they left this alone. Master techniques to take advantage of a drop in enemy's guard. Gaining these benefits. Increase strength or dex. Immediately after a creature within 5 feet of you takes the disengage action or hits a target other than you within an attack, you can make an opportunity attack against the creature. When you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, the creature's speed becomes 0 for the rest of the turn. Huh. So they superseded the disengage action, which is crazy. Because that wasn't part of it. So they buffed this. I did not expect them to buff Sentinel. Unless I'm misremembering. Hold on, let me... Just let me read it, please. You serious? This is what I'm not looking forward to, is them monetizing the shit out of everything. $2 for Arcane Trickster, $2 for the Assassin, $10 for the subclasses, or $2 for each one separately. What is this, Amazon Music? $8 for the album, $3 for each song individually. What is this? 10 backgrounds for $4 or 1 background for 2. Ugh. I hate it. Well, let me just Google what Sentinel 5e. When you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, it becomes 0. They provoke from you even if they take the disengage action. Okay, so actually it's completely the same. Never mind. Completely the same. That's fine. Sharpshooter. This one I know has been contentious since it was instituted. I mean, it came out with the game, but you can make shots. Your ranged attacks ignore half and 3/4 cover. That's the same. Being within 5 feet of an enemy doesn't impose disadvantage on your ranged attacks. That's new. Attacking at long range doesn't impose disadvantage. Oh, so no -5 +10. Because it used to be you could take -5 to your attack roll and gain +10 flat damage to your hit if you hit them. Yeah, they're really creating just a very centralized rule set for these to follow. Because, like, I agree, Sharpshooter and I think... what was the other one? Was it Great Weapon Fighter? Yeah, Great Weapon Master. You could take -5 to your attack and gain +10 damage. But those were the only 2 things that did that. So very out and about kind of stuff that wasn't part of the regular rules. So they're bringing those back into the regular rule set by giving you, basically making it so you never have disadvantage. If they're far away, you don't get disadvantage, and if they're close, they don't get disadvantage. So Sharpshooter just means you don't miss, which makes sense. It makes sense. It's like the other one where like it makes sense. Observant, it makes sense for the title. It's just kind of a little less. It just has a little less heart to it. Has a little less soul behind the ability. So I'm kind of like meh. Shield Master, I have this with Yadu as well. You train to use shields not just for protection, but also for offense. Increase your strength score by 1 to a max of 20. If you attack a creature within 5 feet of you as part of an attack action and hit with a melee weapon, you can immediately bash the target with your shield if it's equipped, forcing the target to make a strength save against your DC. That formula is still the same. On a failed save, you knock the target prone or push it 5 feet away. You can use this once per turn. So it's not a bonus action to bash anymore. It's just part of your attack action. That's cool. If subjected to an effect that allows you to make a dex save to take half, you can use your reaction to take none. If you're wielding a shield. Yeah, so that's the same. So that's just a straight up buff. That's just a straight up buff to Shield Master. Because now you can do a bash every turn. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. That's a 4th level feat. Stamp of approval. I like that. Because that's the thing with these feats. If you take it, it's something that your character should be great at. That's just what it should be. So I like that. And that's kind of the route they're going with Observant and Sharpshooter. You don't miss, and you have advantage, or you have a bonus to your skills. So you're just good at your skills. Skulker, for you rogues out there. You're an expert. Because it's expert class. You're an expert at slinking through the shadows, granting you the following benefits. Increase dex by 1 to a max of 20. You have blind sight to a range of 10 feet. So that's why the range, the rogue doesn't get that as their level 14 ability, but they get, I think, they get a buffed version at 15. Because now anyone can just get blind sight with 13 dex. That's a huge buff to this ability. Fog of War, exploiting the distractions of battle, you have advantage on stealth checks as part of the hide action during combat. That's another buff. If you make an attack roll while hidden and miss, making the attack roll doesn't end the hidden condition on you. Hidden condition? Alright, page 23, going down to the glossary again. Concealed. You aren't affected by any effect that requires its target to be seen. If you are hidden when you roll initiative, you have advantage. Attack rolls against you have disadvantage, and your attack rolls have advantage. This condition ends when on you immediately after any of the following. You make a sound louder than a whisper. An enemy finds you. You make an attack roll. You cast a spell with a verbal component, or you aren't heavily obscured or behind any cover. They took the hidden rules and turned them into a condition, so another lumping of the rules together. They made it more confusing, though. Like, I like spelling out concealed surprise, attack affected. But if you aren't heavily obscured or behind any cover, I guess any cover could technically be like a barrel or a low wall or an ally if you're like a halfling or something and you can hide behind allies. When you use the hide action, you conceal yourself, make a DC 15 stealth check while heavily obscured or behind 3/4 cover or total cover, and you must be out of any visible enemy's line of sight. If you can see a creature, you can discern whether it can see you. So that's clearly defining and taking any interpretation out of the DM's hand, which is both good and bad, because now the DM has like no say over if you're hidden or not, but also it was very confusing on if you were hidden or not. On a success, you are hidden. Make note of your check's total, which becomes the DC for a creature to find you with a wisdom check. Huh. Incapacitated. You experience following. You can't take actions or reactions to your concentration. I'm bouncing ahead. Let me go back. I have a feeling I'm going to skim through those spell lists. Oh, where were we? Skulker. So, yeah, Skulker's great. Huge buff to Skulker. Every rogue is going to take that. 4th level, every rogue is going to take that. I can also see rangers taking this. And yeah, mostly those two. Maybe a fighter. Speedster. You possess exceptional speed and stamina, granting you the following. Increased dex or con. Your speed increases by 10 while not wearing heavy. When you take the dash action, difficult terrain doesn't count against you. That's pretty good. Does that replace mobile? Because mobile also gave you plus 10 to your speed. Yeah, and they don't have mobile in here. I bet you this replaces mobile. In which case, it's a nerf to mobile. And just straight up replaces it. With not great. It's not terrible. Like, if you want your character to be a little bit faster than everyone else around you, it's not a bad feat. And difficult terrain doesn't hurt. So, like, enemies aren't able to trip you up with some kind of like plant growth or something like that. It's not bad. It's not great. It's a big nerf to mobile. I disapprove. Spell Sniper. Spellcasting or pact magic feature. You've learned techniques to enhance your attacks with certain kinds of spells, gaining benefits. Mind up by 1. Attack rolls for spells. Ignore half and 3/4 cover. Being within 5 feet doesn't impose disadvantage. When you cast a spell that has a range of at least 10, and you have to make an attack roll, you can increase the range by 60. So if you have like Firebolt has 120 range, it now has 180 range. That's pretty ridiculous. But That's still a nerf, because I think the old spell Sniper doubled your distance rather than just giving it a flat 60. So again, it's squishing some of the things. So like your 30-foot spells would only double to 60. Now your 30-foot spells go up to 90. However, your 120 spells that would go to 240 now only go to 180. So they're squishing them. I understand the basis behind it. It's not a terrible feat. Warcaster. This was a go-to for anyone that fought with magic. Advantage on con saves for concentration. When a creature provokes an opportunity attack, you can use your reaction to cast a spell rather than opportunity attack. That should be one action and target one creature. And must target only that creature. You can perform the somatic opponents when you have weapons. So that's basically the same. That was a good feat anyway. Everybody already took that, so that's a good one. Leave it as it is. Weapon training. You gain martial weapon proficiency. So that used to be you gain proficiency with 3 specific weapons. Now you just gain all martial weapons. Bonus. I like it. And spell list. This includes Arcane, Divine, and Primal. Each list provides a spell name and school of magic. The list also indicates whether a spell has a ritual. If the school of magic is different from the player's handbook, there's an asterisk after the school. So Dancing Lights is now Illusion. I think that was probably Enchantment before. Transmut. That seems like it would be a slur. But it is not. It is Transmutation. Armor access. What has changed? That's what I want to know. Well, I guess because you don't have specific spell lists for each class, you have just Arcane, Divine, and Primal. If someone were to take a feat that gave them extra spells, they would have access to all of these rather than just from one class. Thunderwave is now Transmutation. I feel like that would still be more Evocation. Blindness, Deafness, I feel like that's more Enchantment. But whatever, not my... Flaming Sphere, totally Evocation. I'm not sure what it was before. Shatter being Transmutation. That feels like it's definitely Evocation. Sending being Divination makes sense. And Stone Skin makes sense. Bigby's Hand! Telepathy being Divination makes a ton of sense. Glibness being Enchantment makes sense. So, it's not clearly defined what has changed there. I'm not gonna read through one by one for that. Guidance. Why is that underlined? Is that down in the glossary? Guidance spell. There's a new version of guidance. Okay, so all those other spells are the same spells that they currently are. Good to know. Reaction. When you take in response which you take in response to you or an ally within 30 of you failing an ability check. Channel your magical insight to the creature making the ability check. They can roll a d4 and add it to the check, potentially making it a success. Once a creature rolls the die for this, that creature can benefit from the spell again until, or can't benefit from it again until they finish a long rest. So you can do it once per day. It's a buff. It was buffed and nerfed. Oh, and they can be both. So this is Divine and Primal. So that covers spells that can show up on multiple class lists, because it's also domain lists. So guidance used to be you had to touch, and you would imbue them with guidance for a minute, and they could have a d4 in any roll. So this is similar to another thing that they had. About using your reaction. I think it was Bardic Inspiration. With the Bard using their reaction to do Bardic Inspiration rather than giving it to them. It basically takes away from players having like this die that they can use at any point and they have to decide when. No, now the cleric or the druid or whatever has to be like, oh, you failed? Boom, here's a d4. I think it makes a ton of sense. It will completely get rid of people using it outside of combat because you can only give it to a person once per long rest. So they can only do it once per day, which makes sense. It makes it more special because you're supposed to be like channeling the fortuitous nature of your god to imbue their ability check. And it's like, yeah, I can just do it as a cantrip. Just here you go, here you go, here you go. Try again, try again, try again. Now you can only do it once, but you can also do it to a range of 30 feet rather than touch. So mechanically it's a little bit more sound, but again, the flavor and the soul behind these and like the exploit that people would use it for kind of is gone. Meh. We'll get down to some of this other rule stuff soon. I'm gonna skim through the spells. Oh, Divine. Abjuration is now Cure Wounds is Abjuration rather than Necromancy. Interesting. Or no, Cure Wounds I think was Evocation. Interesting. So healing is now an Abjuration. Blindness and deafness being transmutation. So there are duplicates for certain spell lists, because this was on the arcane one as well. Guidance. Barkskin. Barkskin was changed. Let's check it out. See if there's any other changed ones. Otherwise, I think we're done with the spells. Okay. Let's look at Barkskin and then start back up at the spells and just get through those quick. Bonus action instead of an action. Touch, concentration for an hour. Touch a creature. Ooh, concentration for Barkskin. You touch a creature until the spell ends. The target's skin assumes a bark-like appearance, and at the start of each turn, they gain temp HP equal to your spellcasting ability modifier. So like 5 to 6 temporary HP at the start of each turn. Thematically, that kind of makes sense. It's like the bark is growing back every turn when they take damage, so it's like filling in and just taking the damage for them. That kind of makes sense. The fact that it is concentration sucks. Because that means you're not concentrating on something else, and Primal being mostly Druid. I guess that would kind of help with Ranger, because Ranger should get some Primal spells, and they're probably not concentrating on much of anything. And it does help it stack with Mage Armor, because that was a thing. I think it was like you have 16 AC while you have Bark Skin, and then Mage Armor gives you a bonus to your AC, like equal to your Dex plus your spellcasting modifier or something. So this is just like a better way to implement it. I think since it's concentration, it should give you a +1 to your AC or something. Just like it needs a little bit more to be worth concentration. Alright, Glossary includes terms such as creature type. The ability check is one of 3 types of D20 tests. The rules often call for an ability check, and the DM can also call for an ability check determining which ability to use when a creature attempts something other than attack, roll, or saving throw. This is a chance of meaningful failure. When the outcome is uncertain and narratively interesting, the dice determine the results. The ability check has the following special rules. Skills. When you make an ability check, the rules for or the DM determines whether a skill proficiency is relevant. If you have a relevant skill, you can add your proficiency bonus. For example, if a rule refers to a strength check, you can add your proficiency bonus if you have acrobatics or athletics. Yeah, that's already kind of something people do. Just codifying it is a pretty good idea. Making an ability check requires that you take an action unless a rule says otherwise. That's good to clarify. A lot of people be like, I want to check around the area, and be like, alright, make a perception check. Alright, I attacked the thing I found. Nope, you're already... But it didn't say I had to make an action to do a perception check. Now it does. Several of those include ability checks. The DM may override this to allow a particular check to be made as part of a bonus or no action at all. Yeah, for like battles, for like a quick thing, I might have people use a bonus action to do a perception check, and then maybe just their DC's higher to compensate for it being a bonus action. Difficulty class. The DM determines the difficulty class of an ability check and can override specified table in the rules. The typical DC class shows the most common. The default for a check is 15, and rarely worth calling for an ability check if it's lower than a 5. Unless the potential failure is narratively interesting. Easy, medium hard, very hard, nearly impossible. So they nerfed them a little because they understand that there's fucking rogues out there with huge buffs to their skills. Because I think 30 used to be completely impossible. Like, you're doing stuff of the gods at this point. So now it's nearly impossible. And above that just gets ridiculous. Armor training is the new name for armor proficiency, and any existing rule that involves proficiency is now training. If you wear it and lack training, you have disadvantage on any d20 test that includes strength or dex, and you cannot cast spells. If you equip a shield and lack armor training, you don't gain the AC bonus of a shield, so you just have a decoration. Artisan's tools. For a list of tools, see the handbook, but ignore prices. Those tools now all cost 15 gold. Okay. When you take the attack action, you can make one attack. It's interesting that they changed the gold price. Maybe they're going to try and make gold actually worth something in OneD&D. Because right now it's just players with like thousands and thousands of gold, and the most expensive stuff costs like 300. It's like, well, I loaded and nothing to spend it on. When you take the attack action, you can make one attack with a weapon or unarmed strike. Equipping weapons. You can equip or unequip one weapon before or after any attack you make as part of an action, even if the attack is an unarmed strike. Who's making noise back there? Nobody, apparently. I'm hearing things. Cool. You can equip or unequip one weapon before any attack, even if the attack is with an unarmed strike. Huh. So you could punch them and then like pull out your sword afterwards. That's a cool declaration. Because that was kind of a part of the attack action. You could draw a weapon and attack in the same turn, but now it's completely defined within the attack action. Moving between attacks. If you move, you can use some or all of your movement to move between attacks, such as extra attack. Attack roll. It's one of the 3 types of d20 tests. This Arcana uses the rules for attack rolls and critical hits found in the handbook. Arcane spells draw on ambient magic of the multiverse. Bark skin we looked at. Blind sight, you can effectively see within range without relying on physical sight. Within the range, you can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness. Moreover, you can effectively see a hidden or invisible creature in that range. Huh. Daredevil Sight, essentially. Climb speed can be used to move on vertical surfaces without expending the extra movement normally associated. A climb speed can be used in any situation in which your speed is usable. Some creatures have the spider climb trait, which allows their climb speed to work even on the underside of horizontal surfaces. Creature type. All creatures, including player characters, have a special tag in the rules that identify the type of creature they are. Most have the humanoid type. Here's the list of game creatures in order. Yep, that looks right. These types don't have rules themselves, but some rules affect creatures in different ways. For example, Cure Wounds does not work on constructs. D20 test encompasses the 3 roles: ability, attack, and save. If something in the game affects D20 test, it affects all 3. When a player rolls 1 for a d20, they gain a heroic inspiration, which is another thing we'll get down to soon. The DM determines whether a d20 test is warranted in any given circumstance. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Mercer. Stop making people roll for stuff that their character should just know. Like, I really get peeved when it's like, oh, do I see them in the crowd? Oh, make a perception check. Okay. That I can see warranted. You're searching for someone in a crowd. Is there anyone around us? No, there's no one around you. Like, stop making people roll for stuff that is completely unwarranted. Dash action allows you to make a bonus move during the current turn. Move is underlined, so they're changing movement. If a space is difficult terrain, every foot costs 1 extra foot. Every foot of movement costs 1 extra foot, so double the movement. It's not cumulative. Either a space is difficult or isn't. Difficult space for a creature contains the following. A space is difficult for a creature if the space contains any of the following. A creature that isn't tiny, furniture that is small or larger, heavy snow or heavy undergrowth, ice, liquid that's shin to waist deep, any deeper and you must swim, narrow opening that is sized for a creature 1 size smaller, a pit or another gap of 2 to 5 feet, rubble, and a slope of 20 degrees or more. The DM may determine other things. Okay. Just clearly defining difficult terrain rather than just being like, if it's difficult, double the movement. DM will figure it out. And that's just giving a little bit more help to the DM, which I appreciate. Divine spells, draw on the power of gods in the outer planes. Clerics and paladins harness this for a list of divine spells, blah blah blah. Exhausted condition, known in the older books as just exhaustion. The condition is cumulative. Each time you receive it, you gain a level of exhaustion. If you die, or you do die if your level reaches 10 rather than 6. It used to be 6 and you would die. D20 rolls. When you make a D20 test, you subtract your exhaustion from the roll. Spell saves affected subtract your exhaustion level from spell saves. Finishing a long rest removes 1 level. When your exhaustion reaches 0, you no longer have this condition. Huh. I don't like how it doesn't affect speed anymore. I like the subtracting method that they have here. Because it used to be disadvantage on ability checks, disadvantage on attack rolls, right? And then at 3rd level exhaustion, you had half speed because you're exhausted. You shouldn't be able to move full distance. There should be something in there that has to do with speed. I think at 5th level, your speed becomes 0, so you can't move at all. And then at 6th level, you just die outright. I don't remember what 4th level did. But actually, I have something up. Let me check. If it's not behind a freaking paywall. Conditions? Conditions? Seriously? Exhaustion. Are you kidding me? Why am I getting an ad? Oh my god. It's not that hard, guys. Okay. People are just going to repost your rules elsewhere. Why even keep them behind a paywall? Exhaustion. disadvantage on ability checks, speed halved at 2. At 2, your speed is halved. And they don't have it in them at all. Three, disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. 4, your hit point maximum is halved. 5, speed is reduced to 0. 6, death. So they heavily nerfed the exhausted condition. But I mean, if you, man, I don't like that. I hope that doesn't stick. I hope something changes with that, because that's boring. That's so boring. Because, like, when you got barely anything gave exhaustion in times that it was actually meaningful in the game, and now they're making it so it's not even meaningful until 10 levels of exhaustion. You die after 10 levels of exhaustion, and until then you just get minus to your rolls. You can still run just as fast, you can still do everything just as much. Exactly. Yeah. No, that's the standard. And I love throwing exhaustion stuff at people because when you start to get to like half speed and then your other rules have disadvantage. Like I think it should not be 10 levels. I think it should be 8 at the maximum. And I think every level of exhaustion should reduce your speed by 5. I think that would make this 100 times better. Each level of exhaustion reduces your speed by 5. So when you're at 6 levels of exhaustion, you can't move. Most people have 30-foot movement speed. So at 6 levels of exhaustion, you're reduced by 30-foot speed. You can't move. 10 levels of exhaustion and you can still move at the same speed? Are you kidding me? 9 levels of exhaustion. Just your attacks are really bad. That is bad. That's just bad. I think it should be, honestly, it should be 5 levels of exhaustion and you're dead, and each one reduces your speed by 5. And with that change, I think it would be good. Unless they're adding more things that give you exhaustion in the game, and this is just to get ahead of that. But from how I've played it and how I've DM'd it, exhaustion almost never comes into play, so making it even less impactful is the wrong move. That's the first like blatantly bad thing that I've really noticed. Like the minus is a lot better than the advantage disadvantage system in my opinion, because there's just so much stuff that gives you advantage disadvantage currently in 5e. Having it be subtracted by your exhaustion level makes sense to me. But the fact that speed isn't affected and it takes 10 levels before it's even impactful. Ugh. All right, we'll move on. Wrap up. Expertise is a special feature that enhances your proficiency if you gain it in one skill in which you have proficiency. You can never have expertise in the same skill proficiency more than once. When you make an ability check with a skill, add your proficiency double. Yeah, so that's expertise. Fly speed can be used while you have it. You can stay aloft until you land, fall, or die. While flying, you fall if you have incapacitated or restrained. If you have the hover trait, you can stay aloft even while incapacitated or restrained. Cool. That's a good clarification. Because I was wondering if they were just getting rid of hover. Because it used to be hover speed, I think. But now you have a hover trait. So like beholders have the hover trait. They fly, but like they're holding themselves aloft with telekinetics. So if you have hover and you become incapacitated, you just float. You just gaming set tool. These now cost 1 gold. I'm okay with that. That's good for the player's handbook because they did have like an entire breakout of all of them and prices for each one. And it was just a little bit too much minutia for how little they actually cared about gold in the game. Definitely felt like something that they started to build and then scrapped, but had all these tables full of gold prices that they have to stick with. So now it's just gaming sets, 1 gold, and then here's a list of them. Grappled. Your speed is 0 and can't change. You have disadvantage on attack rolls against any target other than your grappler. I like that. The grappler can drag or carry you, but the grappler suffers the slowed condition unless they are tiny or 2 more sizes smaller than the grappler. Oh, unless you are tiny or 2 or more sizes smaller than the grappler. So a gargantuan creature can easily move you without having any impairment. Or I guess it's medium, large, huge. Yeah, so a huge creature, a troll, would be able to boom and just walk with you. While grappled, you can make a dex or strength saving throw against the grapple's DC at the end of your turns, ending the condition on a success. The condition also ends if the grappler is incapacitated or if something moves you outside the grappler's range without using your speed. So if someone uses like a push, they can kind of push you out of a grapple, which people already kind of ruled anyway. I think it was technically a rule, but that's how people ran it. If they're incapacitated, blah, blah, blah. So I think with this, reading this, I don't hate it as much because you get rid of the contested checks, which can get a little bit annoying when someone has ridiculously high grapple or like high athletics and they just roll shitty and it's like, oh, they just slipped out, which, happens, but it just felt like that was not impactful in the moment. This, at least, I think how it works, you roll to grapple. What was I think the grappler feat? Let me see. Because we've encountered this already. Grappler. Advantage on attack rolls, you aren't slowed. When you hit with an unarmed strike, you deal damage to the target and grapple. You can use this benefit once per turn. So what's the grapple DC? You didn't clarify what the grapple DC was. Huh. Yeah, so it doesn't set what the DC is. I was thinking if it would be kind of a split contested thing where like if you hit them with an attack and roll a DC 15 athletics check to grapple them, whatever you rolled over 15 is now the escape DC. So if you roll real high, you got a good grapple, and they have to roll really high to get out, and they know what that is, and they know if they just can't, if they have to do something else to get out of the grapple. That's what I thought they were going for, but it doesn't seem like it, unless they're just missing a part of this thing. Because then it's kind of, rather than having like two really bad rolls and just whoever the best one was won, you have to hit a certain threshold, and then anything over that threshold you gain a bonus of, like you get a better grapple, and then they have to hit that in order to get out. I kind of like that, if that's what they go for. It's not clearly defined here, but that's what they seem to be setting up, and I kind of like that. Because then rather than having both players at the table like, you have like, all right, I grapple him. 19. Oh no, how are you going to get out of this? Oh, and you have like that camaraderie, and it kind of like builds two separate moments, because you have the grapple moment and then you have the escape moment rather than the contested moment. I kind of like that, if that's how they go with it, and I hope that's how they do it. Oh, help action. How much do we have left? 33. 4 more pages? I think we can get through this. Yeah, that's a good point. I should just start doing that as grapple checks. Yeah. Choose one of your skill preferences in one ally who can see or hear you. You gave advantage to the next ability check they make with a chosen skill. This benefit expires if the ally doesn't use it before the start of your next turn. You give this assistance, you must be near enough to the ally to assist verbally or physically when they make the check. The DM has final say on whether it's an actual assistance. Assist in an attack roll, you can distract an enemy within 5 feet, granting advantage to the next attack roll by your allies. This benefit expires at the start of your next turn. Okay, that's basically the same. And still works with Find Familiar to just fly in, give them advantage on the next attack, and then fly away. Heroic Inspiration. This is when you roll a 1 on a d20 test. Also called Inspiration. You can expend it to give yourself advantage. You decide to do so immediately after the rolling the d20. Player character gains heroic inspiration if they roll a d1. That 1 must be on the d20 used for the test total, and not a d20 that was re-rolled or discarded. That's a good distinction. If you get like a free re-roll, and then you get a 1, and then you get an inspiration, and then you can spend that inspiration to re-roll again. Yeah, because then you could have infinite inspiration, because you could just roll a 1, get inspiration, use that inspiration, roll another 1. I mean, you'd be in a perpetual loop for bad luck, but represents their resolve at doing better after fumbling. DM can also award it to players who've done something particularly heroic or in character. That's a good addition to inspiration. I like it. Makes ones sting a little less. 1 at a time. You can never have more than 1 instance of inspiration. If something gives you inspiration, you already have it. You can give it to another player in your group who lacks it. I like that a lot too. That's basically what I use. And rather than me tracking who has inspiration, I just give everyone inspiration at the beginning of the session, and they can only use it on people other than themselves. And so far, my players seem to like it. Mallow can attest to that. Because it is a mechanical thing, and my current group doesn't role play all that much. Like, in the Shakespearean sense. They play their characters, but it's much more mechanical. So I feel like giving them the choice to use it, and they can kind of beg with each other. It's like, does anyone have an inspiration for that role? I'd really like to make it. Yes, it does. It helps with team building because you have to ask someone else for inspiration, or if you want to feel helpful, you can give it out. It forces you guys to work together. Hidden condition, we looked at this already. It's basically just spells out what the hidden condition was before and gives it clear rules for each instance. Hide. With hide, you conceal yourself. Make a 50. This is what I saw before, not the grapple. This is what I saw. Make a DC 15 stealth check while you're obscured and be out of visible line if you can see. But on a successful check, you're hidden, and then what you rolled over the DC is what they have to roll in order to meet to see you with a perception check. So yeah. So just apply this to grapples, and I think that's a good system. I think that's a good system to use for all the contested stuff. Like insight and persuasion, deception, stuff like that. Have a DC to beat so that you're not rolling like a 6 and it's doing something. Have a DC to beat, and then over the DC is what their contested DC is to beat. Incapacitated. If you're incapacitated when you roll initiative, you have disadvantage. So if you're sleeping, you have disadvantage. That's good. Good clarification. You can't speak. And concentration is broken. That's good, because I think in the old version, if you were incapacitated, you could still technically concentrate on spells. So someone could like incapacitate the druid and they still had call lightning up and they could just be like, trying to attack as long as someone wasn't breaking their concentration. Although they couldn't take action, so actually that doesn't matter. I guess it's just if they had like a sandstorm or something that they were concentrating on. Influence. With influence, you can try to influence creatures to do something you request or demand. This can only be used on creatures controlled by DM, and it's not mind control. It can't force a creature to do something that is counter to their alignment or repugnant to the creature. 3 main parts: attitude, interaction, and charisma check. A creature's attitude determines how a character can influence them. Each DM-controlled creature has one of the following attitudes towards the player characters. Indifferent. This is default for DM characters. An indifferent creature might help or hinder depending on what they see as most beneficial. Their indifference doesn't necessarily make it standoffish or disinterested. They might be polite and genial, surly, or irritable, or anything in between, but a successful charisma check is often necessary when the adventurers try to persuade them to do something. Friendly. A friendly creature wants to help you and wishes for you to succeed, so tasks that require no particular effort, they're often happy to help. In the element of personal risk, a charisma check may be required. So this is stuff we already ran with, but it is nice to see it codified in the rules. Hostile. They oppose you and their goals, and it doesn't mean they'll attack you, they just don't like you a lot. You need to succeed on 1 or more challenging charisma checks, which challenging is up here. They use different terminology. Hard. However, the DM might determine that the hostile creature is so ill-disposed towards them that not even a charisma check can sway them, in which case the first check fails automatically and no other checks can be made. Good. When you take the influence action, either roleplay how your character interacts with them, focusing on their request or mana. If the interaction is especially suited to the character's desires and outlook, they might give you advantage, or subsequent checks might shift them to being friendly. Similarly, if it's irksome, they might move you towards hostile. Determine whether your request or demand is successful. Make a charisma check. So this is for animals, humanoids, anything. Applicable depending on interaction. Animal handling being reserved for beasts and monstrosities. Make a request or demand requires a different check. Oh, each demand or request. The creature's attitude determines the DC. Okay, so they're setting DCs 10 and 20. If indifferent. I like that. I like that. Gives a jumping off point. You don't have to follow this to the T, but it gives a good jumping off point for people to then modify their game with. And that's really what was missing with the player's handbook, is that there was no basis for like interpreting your own rules. You just had to know. Invisible. Can't be seen. Surprise, if you're invisible and then have to roll initiative, you have advantage. Attack rolls you have against you have disadvantage and yours have advantage. Jump action we looked at, light weapon we looked at, long rest, 8 hours. During a long rest you can sleep for 6 and 2 hours of light activity. That's all the same. Regain HP, regain all hit die. Thank you. The fact that you gain half of your hit die rounded down was so tedious and cumbersome, because people would just be like, did we spend hit die? I don't remember if we short rested. Did I spend hit die? Should I be at full? And no one ever mattered. You just get all your hit die back. It doesn't matter. If your hit point max is reduced, return to normal. Ability score is restored. Can't benefit more than one in a 24-hour period and must have 1 hit point. Interesting. So some stuff gave you like -4 to your ability checks, and you got +1 every time you long rested. So this replaces that and just flat out recovers after 1 long rest. That's interesting. If a long rest is interrupted by 1 hour of walking, casting spells are similar. The rest confers no benefit. It must be restarted. If you got at least an hour, you can get a short rest. When you take magic action, you can cast a spell or use a magic item. If you cast a spell that has a time of a minute or longer, you must take the magic action on each turn and must maintain concentration while doing so. If concentration is broken, the spell fails, but you don't expend a spell slot. When you move, you can go a distance equal to your speed or less. For example, if you have a speed of 30, you can go 30 while you move. Difficult terrain can slow you down, breaking up your move. Using some of it before and after any action. If you have a speed 30, you can go 10. Take an action, then 20. So that's the same. You can move through a space of an ally, incapacitated creature, tiny creature, or creature who is 2 sizes larger or smaller than you. Another creature's space is difficult terrain unless that creature is tiny. They're small. You step over them, no problem. And you cannot end your turn in a space occupied by another creature willingly. Climb and swim. Some creatures have climb and swim. If you have speed to climb or swim, each movement costs 1 extra, unless you have a swim speed or climb speed. If you're swimming or climbing through difficult terrain, 5 feet of movement costs 15. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Oh, I see why they changed it to be 1 foot by 1 foot. Because you wouldn't, if anything halved your movement speed, it wouldn't then have it anymore. So now you can have it so things stack. Like swimming through murky waters or something now takes 15 feet for every 5 feet. So you can only move 10 feet at your regular speed kind of deal. Special speeds. If you have more than one, you must choose which one each time you take your move. For example, if you have speed and a climb speed, you can use one of them when you move, not both. So you can't run and then climb up a wall. Interesting. If you take more than one move on a turn and have more than one speed, each move can use the same speed or a different one. For example, if you have both speed and fly and you take the dash action, you could use your speed for the move and your fly speed for the dash. Okay, so you can run to the wall and then dash to climb it, but you can't run to it. Oof. That's kind of shitty with, like if you're 10 feet from the wall and then you have a climb speed, but because it's a different thing, once you hit that wall and start to climb, you don't get any more of your speed. You would have to dash in order to climb. That one's a little finicky. I can understand where they want to clarify the differences so that you don't have people with like 80-foot fly speed, like just flying 70 feet and then landing and walking the last 10 because they technically have move speed or something. I'd have to see it in action to get a good grip on how that affects stuff. If an effect zeroes your speed for a time, any special speed you have is also zeroed. For example, if you have a climb speed and a speed, both are zeroed if you're subjected to grapple. Musical instruments are expensive, 20 gold a piece. That's fucking real expensive. I guess that makes sense. They're pretty well-crafted instruments most of the time. Primal spells, druids and rangers, ritual casting. A special feature is no longer required for ritual casting. Nice. I like that a lot. Because only, I think, clerics, druids, and wizards could cast ritual spells. And it's like, why can't I just take longer to cast my spell? What is so special about doing it as a ritual that every caster can't do it for certain spells? So that's good. I like that change. Search, wisdom check to discern something that isn't obvious. State of mind, alignment, concealed object, tracks are food. Short sword is now simple rather than martial. I agree. Slowed condition, you have 1 extra foot of movement for every foot you move. Attack rolls against you have advantage, and you have disadvantage on dex saves. Study, you make an intelligence check. And here's a breakout of how to use those, which is good. People had to kind of guess, so having like a good list to read from helps. Swim speed, go through liquid, tool proficiency, add your proficiency to any ability check you make. Teleportation is a special kind of magic. You disappear and reappear instantly without moving through any intervening space. It doesn't expend movement unless it says otherwise. It never provokes opportunity attacks. When you teleport, all the equipment you're wearing and carrying comes with you. If you're touching another creature, it doesn't come with you unless it says so, like Misty Step and Dimension Door. Actually, just Dimension Door. If the destination is occupied by a creature or blocked by an object, you instead appear in the nearest space. And description of a teleportation effect tells you if you must see the teleportation's destination. So that clarifies that you don't take force damage anymore from teleporting into stuff. Interesting. Hopefully that wasn't too long. My headset cut out because the music stopped and I didn't realize it. Hopefully that was not talking too long. Essentially, the last thing I said was teleportation. You no longer teleport into objects and then get shunted out with force damage. You just appear next to whatever it is, and it's just like, nope, cannot enter. Tremor Sense can pinpoint the location of creatures within a specific range, provided they're touching the same surface or liquid. Can't detect creatures in the air and doesn't count as a form of sight. So you're tough. Very much tough. Unarmed Strike is a melee attack that involves your whole body. Shove a target with your reach. Your bonus to hit is your strength mod plus proficiency, unless you're a monk, and then it's dexterity. On a hit, it causes one of the effect. Oh, here it is. Okay, that's what we were talking about. Target takes bludgeoning damage equal to 1 plus strength mod. That's the same. Target is grappled. So if you hit them, they are grappled. There is no DC to if they are grappled or not. You automatically grapple them if you hit with an unarmed strike. The escape then becomes 8 plus your strength mod plus your proficiency bonus. So if it's like strength mod of 2, you have 10 plus proficiency, we'll say low level, so it's 12. So the DC is 12 for the escape. They have to roll on theirs to get to 12. And the grapple is only possible if the target is no more than one size larger than you, and if you have a hand free. Just wrap their head. So technically, would an unarmed strike be a light weapon? So anytime you did the attack action, you could then follow it up with a punch and grapple. That might need some clarification. Technically, unarmed strikes aren't a weapon strike, so I guess it's not technically a light weapon, but that seems really dumb that if you have a dagger, you can hit with your offhand, but you can't punch with your offhand. And then shove, you either push the target 5 feet away or knock them prone. The shove is possible only if the target is no more than one size. Oh. Interesting. So you're not making strength checks, so you can knock over, if there's a guy, if they're large, so they're like 8 feet tall, but they're technically only one size larger than you, if you hit them, you can knock them prone. That seems a little broken. Because, like, they might have a terrible AC, so I guess that just means they're really bad at blocking your trips. And then the rest of your group has advantage on strikes against them because they're prone. That seems a little too easy. Am I going to do it? Yes. No, that's fair. So light weapon property, when you take the attack action, attack with a light weapon in one hand, you can make an extra attack as part of the same action. The extra attack must be made with a different light weapon in the other hand, and you don't add your ability modifier. Okay. So the real question is an unarmed strike a light weapon, or it's a melee attack that involves using your body? Did they clarify attack action? You can make one attack with a weapon or an unarmed strike. Yep. Okay. So an unarmed strike is its own action, therefore it can't be a bonus action with it. Oh, it's a finicky rule. I don't know if I like it. Because that means, like I said, you can use a dagger as an offhand, but you can't punch as an offhand. Which is the same exact movement. The only way I can see them fixing this with the current wording of it is that you can do an unarmed strike, but you gain none of this. So it would literally just do one, because you don't add your ability modifier for offhand attacks unless you have dual wielding. And then these are these technically should be full actions. This is also going to be an interesting challenge for how they deal with Monk, because Monk is going to be overpowered if they can just do this every turn. And Monk is already powerful. I love Monk, but this is definitely playtest material. It definitely has some polish that it needs to go through. But I think overall, I'm excited for some of these changes and clarifications. I've kind of not cared about any of their modules they've released recently. Like Tasha's Cauldron is the last thing that I had any interest in, because that was more rules that they were adding on and spells and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to really pay attention to what comes out with this, and look forward to the next drop that they have. But I don't think that's until November, so for now I think we're done. And maybe Monday we jump on Dark Souls 3. I'll have to launch the game, make sure I have it all installed and everything. Get all my stream set up for it. Thank you. I'm liking reading through and just nerding out about D&D, because I don't usually get to do so with a lot of the DM stuff, particularly because I talk with my players, especially my lovely girlfriend. And I don't want to give too much info away, because then where's the fun when I'm actually running the session? So this being all playtest and theoretical is fun. And then once they actually release like full stats, maybe we'll do like a building out some crazy classes kind of deal. Testing some scenarios. But for now, I'm gonna call it a night. Going to get out of here. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the engagement. And don't you go and hollow out there. Bye.